All rise.
District Court would now be staffed by professional judges.
She inherited a very challenging system.
She was a trailblazer.
But that the actual constitution suddenly mattered here.
It's about making right real.
A person who's accused of a crime is entitled to know what they're being accused of.
If the law, the very law, saying that your way of loving, these things were forbidden. And there was one funny moment where a priest came in to give evidence.
So even though that law was old Victorian law, it derived essentially from Christian teaching.
It strikes me as a case from a different world.
Those were all, I think, seen as, and were described at the time, as a sweeping away of the old system.
A lot of the things that we take for granted as our legal rights had to be argued.
The lawyer never turned up.
High Court pretty much said, look, you've waived all of these rights. Sorry, you don't generally have a right to that.
To see pieces of legislation that chip away at women's position.
I think they're sort of prophets in their own lifetime. They didn't really get the recognition that they deserve.
These are very difficult things to explain in a court.
It was so fantastic to be involved in a case that seemed to make a difference.
Running off as the lights changed, they called into me.
And it is a stain on history as to how we treated children at that time.
In the reformatories, in the industrial schools, suffered harsh regime. People say it was even worse than the Kennedy Report described it.
When I did the first television interview, they said, we'll put you in shadow and we'll have you back to the camera. And I said, well, in that case, you can do it yourself.
You have been listening to the Irish Courts Podcast, a Curious broadcast production with the Court Service and the Judiciary.